We're official. Namaste, guys. Christian R. Long, life enhancement consultant. Give you a big shout out. And here's another interview of our Mahatma Project of great souls, spreading the message of great souls doing great work. And on today's show, we have Naturopath Dr. Christian Gonzalez that is going to be sharing his breadth of experience and knowledge based in the world of functional medicine and naturopathy. And I want to give a props to Instagram, because we always talk about social media being a social venue, but I've noticed there's a tendency for people to keep posting things and posting things and posting things, but there's not too much interaction or socializing going on. So I thought to myself, okay, who would be a great person to connect with who's in the realm of healing, who's in the realm of wellness, who's in the realm of preventative care? And then Big Daddy Dr. G and I came across each other's path and reached out and said, hey, let's do an interview with one another and let's share each other's experience and hopefully add value to people who are watching this video, my network and networks across the world. That's how we can make social media work for all of us. So I want to thank Christian for coming on the show today. And as you guys know, I just pretty much let the main person lead with their background, whatever they want to share, and then I'll interject questions that are appropriate for today's topic and the person's experience and background. But Christian, the floor is yours. Please share with the group where you came from and where you're planning on heading.
Okay, yeah. Well, thank you for having me. This is awesome. Instagram that's a perfect point. Information left, information right, and then not really socializing. So it's beautiful to get on these calls or videos to connect not only with each other, but everyone else. That's amazing stuff. I'm in awe of technology, even though I curse it every single day when I'm like, why am I on my phone again?
You're on it all the time.
Yeah.
Like, you're always posting stuff. So
yeah, that's a whole nother podcast. I graduated from, as you mentioned, naturopathic school 4 years ago from Connecticut. And I did a residency in integrative oncology. That means working within a hospital, a conventional model, plus adding in integrative modalities. So that was pretty hectic and rewarding at the same time. That was 2 years. And then I moved to California. I've been practicing here for 2 years. I recently lived in the Bay Area, and I moved to LA more recently in the past 3 weeks. So I set up shop in LA, where I'm going pretty much here. But if the future plans involve flying across the country every other month, then I'm into that too. So like you, I like to experience, I'm a person of the world, so I want to experience a lot of the world.
I love that. Actually, I remember a longtime meditator I met in Fairfield, Iowa. He says, global citizen.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a global citizen. And just kind of the world is my playground. I was like, that's really cool. I'm going to jack that from you.
Yeah, it's good stuff.
I learned something from Christian earlier today before we jumped onto the live stream. And he was sharing with me that, because he was in San Francisco doing his practice for a little over a year and a half, and then he moved to LA, and he's been there for about a month. And he was saying that people in LA are more open and receptive to the healthy lifestyle and wellness than San Francisco, which blew my mind, because I thought that LA was very, very superficial, that people just wanted the breast implants, the butt implants, the Botox. But he really kind of surprised me and enlightened me to that. So give me the typical people that you work with in your practice. What would you say they fit? Where are they?
Yeah. So because I work a lot with chronic disease, they tend to be, well, I have a whole slew of patients, but they tend to be, the chronic ones are always older. Unfortunately, I'm seeing a lot of younger chronic diseases now.
Oh, no kidding.
Breast cancers in women as young as 30 years old. I have 3 right now, which is kind of crazy. Most of my patient population is female. And that's because, not coincidentally, we see a lot of hormonal issues because there are a lot of hormonal disruptors that we're exposing ourselves to. So I tend to have mostly female patients because of that. And then the male and female, a lot of gut issues too. Because the food we're eating, our exposures, the water we're drinking, it's all having an effect on our good bacteria, bad bacteria. So that's a population. I tend not to see children because that's a whole life of dedication to just children. Mm-hmm. And you got to be a really special person to do that. I don't think I'm that special. So yeah, working with kids, my hair's already going gray, so I don't need it to go gray any faster. Kids are awesome, but working with them is because it's got the parents and all that stuff. So, and yeah, it's rewarding, but I tend to just stick with the other side of the spectrum.
Mm-hmm. And I was able to meet up with a naturopathic doctor for an examination probably about 3.5 years ago. And I was interested in the assessment that went through that process because it was different than what I experienced with a traditional allopathic practitioner. It was like measuring my dehydration levels, and it was measuring my body fat using different kinds of electronic impulses. So I was like, So when you meet with a client or patient, how does a typical assessment look like?
Yeah, way more comprehensive. And we put stresses on different systems more than just say a conventional assessment would be. And that's because we work as a whole picture, right? So we don't want to know just 2 things about your thyroid. We want to know every other symptom that could be falling under the thyroid, because we want to see how that is intimately connected with your ovaries or your testes or your adrenal glands. So we like to paint that picture. And then physically, say, for example, dehydration, right? There's different mineral taste tests that we can do. Okay, great. That's wonderful. But urine tests, in my old clinic, we used to do a urine test immediately just to see where they're at, right? To see if there's any infection or they're leaking any proteins or things like that. So that, I remember when I used to go to conventional doctors, I didn't really get that done, to be honest. I would just fill out. I'm done in 10 minutes and then see them for another 10 minutes and then go home, But I always tell people, if you're going to see a naturopath, you have to be ready to put in that time and know that you're going to sit down and you're going to talk about a lot more things that you never did, but it's rewarding because they go, oh, no one ever asked me about, my childhood illness and how that's been affecting me. No one ever asked me about, as we were talking about, mental, emotional, spiritual stuff, right? Mm-hmm. That's all wiped under the rug, and we're just dealing with physical when it's a conventional paradigm. But for our paradigm of the things that we look at in health, it's much more important to see deeper things. So with that said, other assessments or other questioning deals with that too, right? Mm-hmm. So yeah, more comprehensive, but way more investigative too.
And why do you think people would seek out a naturopathic doctor versus a general practitioner?
Yeah, because they're sick of not feeling better or being better. Because they are more conscious now more than ever at understanding that you can't suppress a symptom and expect it to go away. That's the very basic thing, is that the conventional paradigm is modeled around sick care and you coming in, me identifying what you have, right? Mm-hmm. Just thyroid. We'll take a little picture of your thyroid. That's it. No, we don't even consider your ovarian function or testy function or adrenal function. And we take a snapshot and then we give you a medication to only deal with that without really considering everything else and as a whole. That's the major issue. And then we go, this is conventionally speaking, and then they go, yeah, let's put it under the rug, every other thing that's causing the thyroid dysfunction. Not what are you eating, not what are you drinking, not what are you exposed to. We just identify. That never does it for me. And now most people are like, hey, this is bullshit. Like, why am I taking this medication without ever questioning what I'm exposing myself to? Mm-hmm.
And that's what I admired about you, not only doing the naturopathic portion, but also the functional medicine portion. And I was mentioning the first time I was ever exposed to functional medicine, Hyman's book, the Ultra Mind Solution, and seeing the body as an entire system, because it's like, if you had a pool and you put in a little bit of poison in one part of the pool, that poison is going to go from one end of the pool to the other end of the pool. It's not isolated, right? Yeah. We have a tendency to over specialize, and then the specialists are not talking to the other specialists. So there's miscommunication, there's misdiagnosis. And by the way, guys, I've interviewed previous doctors on here, and it's never about saying, only do naturopathic or only do general or only do energy healing or meditation or just your sleep, you have to look at the person as an entire holistic system and do whatever is necessary to improve the quality of your health. So this is never about bashing traditional allopathic medicine. Because I was trained by a traditional allopathic practitioner in the world that I live in now as an energy healer. So, right, we just want to make that distinction. Right.
Like there is a place for integrative medicine, and people need to understand, right? Like there is a place for medication when acutely needed, when someone needs that support. But there shouldn't be a place for a medication to be taken all your life at all, you know, especially when it's ignoring or identifying what's causing it, right? But integratively speaking, everyone should be working together, because as we spoke about, we're not just physical bodies, right? We're energetic bodies. We have these emotional centers in our body flowing. So that they all need to be addressed. And that I work with acupuncturists around here, right? I literally work in the office with a conventional doctor, but conventional doctors seeing the place for nutrition and seeing the place for getting to the root cause. So that is, in my opinion, how medicine should be, period. There should be a flow between all practices and us understanding what our specialties are and how we work together and maximize patient outcomes.
Love it. And you said part of the focus of your practice is chronic diseases, not acute, but chronic diseases. And you were mentioning what separates you from other naturopathic doctors is that you really focus on environmental stressors or environmental like our environment, how it affects us. So can you kind of talk about why chronic disease might be so prevalent in our day and age in 2018?
Yeah. Well, aside from the diet that we're eating, it's our diet could be improved in every single way. But in many ways, it's not our fault, because we're fed these marketing techniques that target all of us. And then we go to the supermarket and everything on there is foods which are not conducive to healing, except the foods that are on the outside. But even on the foods on the outside of the supermarket are still, if not organic, very poor quality, right? Because they're sprayed with toxic herbicides, right? And treated with different chemicals. So what can we do? Like the thing with that is we're exposed to environmental toxins every day. You and I, doesn't matter where you live. And we have these awesome mechanisms to clean these things out. Our liver is incredible. Our kidneys incredible. Our lungs, our skin. We are built to get rid of this stuff. The issue is we're not built to have a toxic burden weaken all of these functioning organs and then continuously get burdened. That's when we start breaking down, and that's where we start getting diseases. So whether we do it via food, water, air, occupational exposures, home exposures, those things build up and they manifest as different diseases, right? This is completely in a vacuum. We're not even thinking about the emotional, spiritual part as we were talking about, right? So they manifest over time because there are clear-cut toxins that are closely associated with, say, for example, diabetes, right? Dioxin has been associated with diabetes. It's definitely associated with cancer, different types of cancer. So, and we're exposed to these, for example, dioxins are in meat, right? 93% of dioxin exposure is via meat, right? Wow. So meat, dairy, poultry, fish, eggs. So say someone's eating a diet. Let's just get a typical person eating a animal product heavy diet, low plant-based foods, which are not functioning, which are not creating optimized function, liver, kidney, whatever. And then we're drinking from styrofoam cups, our coffee, plastic all day, right? Cooking in plastic, storing in plastic. And then we're in an office with brand new furniture that's off-gassing all day. You see what I'm saying? Like, this is everyday exposures. And then we go home and we shower and we put all this crappy soap and fragrance and lotion and brush our teeth with, Colgate. This is, and it's not to put fear in anyone, but it's for us to understand where we're at, right? And we have the power to change all of that, at least decrease this load, because that load will always be there, but decrease this load.
Decrease the load. for greater wellness. I love it.
Mm-hmm.
And you mentioned about it's not about fear, it's about having the awareness, which reminds me of the quote that I built my entire business on from my teacher, Grandmaster Choa. He says, without awareness, there's no inner transformation. So you have to have awareness of what's going on, and then you can transform your life. So you bringing up these topics about the contaminants in our food, in our laundry, our clothes, our makeup, soap, toothpaste, stuff that's happening at our office with the lights, with the carpet, with the furniture we're sitting on. Awareness gives us the opportunity to transform from the inside out. But if we're unaware, then we don't even know those things are affecting our health.
Yeah. And not coincidentally, we're not aware for specific reasons. We're not supposed to be aware of this, right? Like I had a patient once, they go, well, they're selling it at Target. Like, why, what do you mean it wouldn't be safe? It's cleared by the EPA or the FDA. Right. But this is without even getting into that field, but there's politics involved. Like if that was the case, then genetically modified foods wouldn't pay, or GMO companies wouldn't pay lobbyists to stop them from labeling GMO foods, right? Why are we stopping labeling of GMO foods if they're safe? That's what the point I'm trying to make is, just because it's on the supermarket shelf at, we'll say, Safeway or Stop and Shop or wherever, ShopRite, does not mean that it's safe by any means. And that's the mentality that we have, is that it's got to be safe because it's cleared and it's there. So I don't even think about it, but we have to think about it because these are exposures that we're having every day.
You guys got that? It's about awareness.
Yes.
Knowing what time it is, helping improve your life. Which goes to what we talked about earlier, which we've mentioned a few times, emotional and spiritual wellness. I love asking this to the people who come on the show. What is your spiritual practice, if you have one, and why did you choose that spiritual practice of the dozens of spiritual practices one can have?
Yeah. Oh, well, that's a great question. In college, I started a spiritual practice. First of all, awareness started in college. I was on autopilot all the way up to college. And then I was reading this one book and I said, what the heck just happened to me? Because it felt like, I don't know, blinders just fell. And I go, why is my head buzzing and why is my eye so clear? And it never changed. I never went back.
Wow.
And I guess that's called some sort of spiritual awakening or reawakening, whatever it may be. Spiritual practice involved starting then meditation. That was the first thing I really got into. So I started doing that. I think probably now 11 years I've been meditating. Over the years, I've done a lot of things like gratitude practices, which I do all the time, which is really important for us to really pay attention to where we're at with our gratitude, right? Because we take so much advantage of the fact that, knock on wood, we have clean water, right? Or we have a place to sleep. But we have to remind ourselves that. And then affirmations, I believe in the power of just speaking your reality and visualizing. I believe visualization is incredible. That's our connection we're creative beings. So that's our connection to creating energetically into manifesting into material. But that's awesome stuff. So that's my whole spiritual practice. And then I believe in the power of writing, and I'll write a lot in journaling. That's so important to just black out and write, whatever's coming to you, and then be like, I don't know what I just wrote, but something in there is really powerful.
Extreme in consciousness.
Yeah.
You mentioned gratitude, which is beautiful because I'm looking at my whiteboard over here, and at the beginning of every year, Christian, I say to myself, okay, what's the theme? What's the overarching theme that I'm going to be focusing on for this year? And after about a month of meditating and doing some inner reflection, I came to the conclusion this year I wanted to focus on gratitude. And I've already noticed a tremendous shift because for our listeners, you guys might get benefit out of this, that as you practice gratitude, what happens is it pulls things from the higher plane and steps the energy down into the lower plane and gives us access just by having gratitude. Meaning all of our blessings are there, but because of our ingratitude and our lack of receptivity and conductivity to those energies, they don't come into our lives. But as we have gratitude, the energy starts to slowly permeate into our life, and we experiencing it through a blessing in a relationship, a blessing with a new job, a blessing with new patients or clients, or blessing in clarities to one's purpose in life, right? So gratitude, nailed it. Super important, everybody.
Yeah, I'm feeling it. I'm feeling it vibe right now, talking about permeating and higher, lower planes. Yeah, that's the truth. Because how many people go, man, I just been feeling so good, and now look what happened.
Bam.
Now look how this manifested. It's not coincidental to your vibration, right? It's like where you're at, you know, and the power of just saying what you're grateful for and taking 10 minutes to do that and speaking it out loud powerfully, that goes a really long way at manifesting or raising your vibration and manifesting these things that you want, you know. It's awesome stuff, and everyone without fail should be doing it in their car, by their bed, in the shower. I don't care where it is, but just doing it.
Nailed it. And this one, I'll let you choose which angle you want to take, because you could take the professional route, you could take the spiritual route, you could take the academic route. But who would you say is the most influential mentor you've had in your life?
Academic is boring, so we're not going to talk about academic.
That's fair.
And in light of this, let's talk spiritually, right? Like, that's where the vibes are. I'm still on the high vibes from the gratitude, man. So
you're grateful for that conversation.
Yeah. I think, can a mentor not be personal, like maybe an author or something like that?
Yeah, that's fine. Totally. Whoever's influenced you.
Yeah, I think that I would say Neale Donald Walsch was probably the first, and he was the one.
Conversations with God.
Yeah, that was the first book that I read, and I'm not religious, but and that does have some religious connotation, but not really. It's more of just physical, metaphysical, and it's beautiful because for me, it resonated with me. Maybe other people know, but reading that, I was like, how did that first chapter just answer 50 of the first questions that I had all my life, you know, in the most eloquent, beautiful, resonant ways for me. So his series of books have been an awakening for me, right? Eckhart Tolle. Another, in my opinion, master walking this earth. He's pretty incredible, and his words are like, whoa, you're not speaking to my ears or my brain. You're speaking to something much deeper, you know? So another quote unquote mentor. I haven't really had many physical teachers face to face. I've always been open to them, but me stubbornly, I always kind of like just listen to my own self and let my own, try to be as clear and unbiased on my own self and let that be my teacher. But those two would probably be the most powerful ones for me. I mean, I'll go back and read the book. I just reread The Power of Now. And all of a sudden I find myself washing dishes and being like so focused on, it just reawakens. You're like, oh, got to be present. Yeah, got to be in here, like align in this moment. What am I worrying about the future for, the past? Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Neale Donald Walsch. Also, Conversations with God, Power of Now. He also wrote The New Earth, which is an amazing book. He wrote several books, but those are his two major books. Neale Donald Walsch has like a biographical movie, right?
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah. I forget the name of it. It might be Conversations with God.
Yeah.
But you could look it up just Google it. You could find it. I got introduced to his book when I was in Fairfield, Iowa, many, many moons ago, probably about 15 or 16 years ago. A girl that I was friends with, I would go back to her dorm room and I was like, what's that book right there? And she goes, oh, I'm just totally into this book. It's called Conversations with God. And she's from Kazakhstan, like a war-torn area that she found that book there.
That's crazy.
Started reading it, gave her inspiration. And she actually, like in the middle of the night, left her country to come and to get a college degree. And so she was like very, very grateful for that book. It than her. So
yeah, and I think the first clear-cut intuition I ever had was when I saw it on my kitchen counter. It wasn't for me. It was my mom's friend's book. And I said, what the heck is this book? And it was like pulling me. And I go, why is this book pulling me? What's going on? At the time, I was an avid reader, but I sat down, I read it in one sitting. And
Wow.
like in 2 hours, done. And I said, that book just changed my life. And I knew it. So maybe not for everyone, but for me, there's always something or someone ready to change your life. Like you're calling for it, you know? An Instagram post can just be like, ooh, wait, what did they just say? Let me research that. It
Yeah.
doesn't matter. You're always getting those messages. It needed to be in the form of a book because I was so hard-headed back then. But I'm sure before that, I had people whisper teachings in my ear, but I'm just like, oh, I don't want to hear that, you know?
Right. All right, guys, we can get hyper spiritual on this. So we're running out of time because I want to respect everyone's time on this. The other thing I want to cover real quickly is with all the advancement that is happening with technology and wellness in the health industry, with 3D printing of organs, of nanotechnology, of fighting viruses from the molecular level and all these things. Where do you see health and wellness being over the next 10, 20 years in the sense of, are we just going to be able to really eat whatever we want and really not take care of our bodies because we'll have technology to pick up the slack for that? Or where do you think it's going?
Maybe, but I see our medical advancements.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome, right? Like your heart's falling apart. Then here's a new heart one day, straight like a 3D printed heart.
Mm-hmm.
We have incredible advancements happening right now, maybe eradicating some dangerous diseases.
Mm-hmm.
But it's becoming so filtered, right? Filtered and focused on one thing rather than understanding the whole. So my hope is that there's two schools, right? Modern advancements to help these patients who are really, really sick,
Mm-hmm.
who need it,
Mm-hmm.
right? And who can benefit. But then the other school grows of understanding that the holism, right? What are we eating? What are we exposed to? Where are we spiritually, mentally, right? And for us having more awareness, that empowerment. Do I believe it's happening? Yes, I believe there's a crazy wave of consciousness happening where people are now becoming advocates for their own health, right?
Mm-hmm.
We go on Instagram and there's a huge health community.
Mm-hmm.
And where was that like 5 years ago when I was on Instagram? It was growing, but now it's like everyone has something to say about health.
Right.
That's not by coincidence. And I think now is the time where it's happening incredibly. It's powerful. So that's where I see it going. It's like an increase in holism, an increase in understanding what our place is and what health is, real health. And then like these beautiful modern advancements. Will they work together? Yeah, probably. But hopefully this side of understanding what we are and what health is will never get us to the point where we need a new heart, where we need new organs, because we're preventatively taking care of ourselves so much better.
Love it. And to keep in mind for everybody, because I hear this a lot, and we can even use it with time travel. People go, well, we haven't developed a machine yet to time travel. Well, here's the challenge with that. If we're talking about consciousness transcends the physical world, the physical reality. So we can never, because people talk about clairvoyance and psychics and mediums, and they're like, how come we haven't developed tools that can verify this? We don't even have tools that can validate our emotions. We only have tools that can show the effect of emotions in our brain, but we can't actually see emotions or see thoughts or see consciousness, because we are the instruments of consciousness. We can never make a physical thing to identify a non-physical phenomenon. We can only see the effect of the phenomenon. So that's why I like what you said about merging the two, that we'll have machines and we'll have technology that will keep our physical bodies alive as long as possible. But in the time of doing that, we're going to evolve our emotional bodies, our mental bodies, our spiritual bodies, so we can have greater access to higher degrees of consciousness and insights.
Yeah, something that is non-material cannot be measured, especially when it comes to the talk of consciousness, measured by a device a little electrode that we put in our head. That won't happen. It's so much more complex, and mind-blowing than we even have any idea about, right? Like, so yeah. I mean, you get it. I mean, like, this is your work, man. This is your life
It's
work.
my
So,
bread and butter.
yeah, it's your bread and butter. Who am
For
I talking,
sure.
you know?
But it would be like probably gluten-free bread. It'd be like
Right,
non-dairy
right,
butter.
right.
So Dr. Christian, I want to give you the slot for anything that you want to promote. For those of you who are interested, don't worry. In the YouTube channel, we'll have all the descriptions and the way to get a hold of Dr. G Money, or reach out for questions on Instagram or any of that. But is there anything specific that you have an event coming up? You have a product you want to promote to help people with?
No, I mean, look, my whole thing is I want to increase awareness, and I want people to become empowered and educated. So they go, whoa, no one ever told me that. This is what I needed to know. And then they can empower others. That's the only thing I care about, period. And that's why you'll see me put posts that take 2 hours to do, because it's like, that's what I have to do, I feel like, right? Mm-hmm. But I do have an online store, and that's, the link is in my Instagram bio. My Instagram is @_ Dr. DOCTOR.G _. And the link in my Instagram bio is for people to have access to high quality supplements. It's a counterfeit industry. It's a $6 billion counterfeit industry. You can get a supplement that looks exactly like what you think you're getting, and it can be completely fake from China or India or somewhere else. So that's why everything is coming straight from the manufacturer. So that's why I put it up there.
Got it.
My website will be coming out this month, and that will be docgonzalez.com, DOCGONZALEZ.com. And it's almost done. So that's going to be really cool. A lot of blogs, a lot of information.
Awesome.
I'm in LA. I take patients once a week in a office, but other than that, I do home visits. Telemedicine, I do a ton of that. And I love traveling. So I'm in different cities, and I do different talks. No talks coming up right now.
Okay.
I'm still adjusting to living in Los Angeles. So that may take a while, but yeah, other than that, no, nothing else, man. Just watch out for my website, maybe doing a YouTube channel at some point soon, but doing a lot of these talks. Yeah. So
I love it. Telemedicine. I'm totally in love with that term, telemedicine.
Yeah.
Well, Christian R. Long, want to thank Dr. Christian Gonzalez for coming onto the show and sharing his wisdom with us. And it's fascinating. It's so refreshing to find the people who are all about preventative wellness, but also get the, hey, there's an emergency. We also have to use, everything at our disposal. So I want to give you props and a shout out for that. And so that's the new wave that we're moving into.
Oh yeah, thanks, Pat.
No, of course. If you guys have any questions, again, if you're watching this on YouTube, we'll have all the information in the description below. Also on Facebook, you find me on Facebook, and then find Dr. G on Facebook or Instagram. We'll make sure as much information we can. Sure. We'll have his website as well. It's not going to be active for another month, but we'll have the link as well. So when people see it later on, they can click on it. But if you or a friend have someone who is doing great things to serve humanity and have a great message to share, please contact me directly, and I'd love to interview them as well. And other than that, thank you guys very, very much for joining another Mahatma Project of spreading the message of great souls doing great work. This is Christian R. Long with Dr. Christian Gonzalez, wishing you a beautiful, phenomenal day, week, and life. Atma, namaste. Bye-bye.
Awesome stuff.